everybody, and welcome back to the studio. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. So, this particular Thursday also happens to fall on a holiday. So, today is December 25th at the time that I am posting this video. And it is Christmas Day. So, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope that you're having a wonderful day. This is going to post fairly early, but what are the chances that someone's actually going to probably watch this when it actually posts at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time? Um, Let's see, what else do I have for you? So, so I'm going to be using a standalone stamp set. Let me just make sure everything's kind of like level here. Um, Bear with me for a second. Just want to make sure everything is good. It looks good, so we'll put that aside. So, again, Merry Christmas, everybody. Um, I'm actually recording this on Christmas Eve, pretty late at night. I've been busy doing some cooking and a little bit of baking, not much, but tomorrow or today actually, I am hosting Christmas dinner. I'm having over my assistant Yvonne and her husband Don, and we're doing just a pretty simple dinner. Um, when all is said and done, I'm really hoping to then get to work on what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night on Friday, December 26th. So every Friday, I tend to go live. So I do a Friday night live here in the studio. And I normally would go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, but I have decided that I'm going to bump that up by an hour, so 6 p.m. Central, so whatever time zone that you are in, just adjust it accordingly. Um, and tomorrow night, I'm going to be featuring a new, it's a mega suite that is in our upcoming January to April mini catalog. It's called the Brushed with Beauty Suite. So I'm going to be working on those projects maybe tonight, maybe early tomorrow morning. But either way, my plan is to get it all done. Very proud of myself. I did get all of my Christmas cards done. I just went into the stash of the hundreds of cards that I already have made. I feel really good that I had gotten about a total of about 71, 72 cards that I would say about 47 of them were mailed, and let's see, I had about 16 that I handed out at church, and then I have another nine that will go to work. So everything's for so far going good. I have a package that I have being sent out to my daughter and granddaughter. I know it's a little late, but it did get out on Christmas Eve day. Luckily, I got up there early that morning only to find out that they were going to be actually closing. Um, what was it about? Excuse me, about 2 hours after I walked in there. So I was glad that I got that dropped off so they can kind of get that, on time and not delayed. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of water. So, with that, let's get started on these projects. Now, I did do some prep work on some of these cards. So, if there was some heat embossing, I had already taken care of that. So let me show you what I'm going to be using and what else I'm going to bring in to use with it. So the stamp set is A Child is Born. It only seems fitting that this would be used for this video that's going to be posting on Christmas Day, because truly Jesus is the reason for the season. So only was fitting to use this today. So this photopolymer stamp set, it's a standalone stamp set. There are no dies that go with it. There's no punch. Um, I do have, I have done heat embossing, and there's a little bit of coloring with the blends and fussy cutting. I know I don't really care for it, but I like the effect of what it looks like. And the truth is, the fussy cutting wasn't too bad. So that's going to be my last card. So typically, Throwback Thursdays, I'll bring in retired product and I will create two projects. But for the month of December, I have decided that I'm on a mission to where I'm going to use as much of the product as possible between, let's see, the September online exclusives and also the September through December holiday mini catalog. So I'm doing a pretty good job on using as much of the product as I have. In the past, a lot of times, kind of ran out of time, and then next thing you know, it was retired. So then it didn't get brought out until later on. And at that point, when I looked at it, there was no ink that ever touched that stamp set. So that's kind of sad. But I kind of changed that. I'm using the product. I'm using designer series paper. So I feel better that, money that I've spent on the product, I'm actually using it while it's still current. So the stamp set, it is on the last chance list right now, and it is discounted. So let me quickly bring that up so I can let you know. Now, again, this is all at the timing of me doing this video. And again, I'm recording it at night on Christmas Eve. And this is posting on Christmas Day at 5 a.m. Central Time. Let me bring this up. I want to let you know what the price is. Now, of course, this is a price that's here in the US. So this stamp set was regularly $21. Right now it's $18.90. It's not showing that it's on low inventory, but once this does sell out, then it's going to be discontinued. So if you are a fan of like the religious themed stamp sets, this is still available again at the time that I am recording this and when I first post it, because I don't think it's going to go on low inventory in the next few hours. But yeah, so this is discounted, and I think that is like the only thing that I'm using that is discounted now. Because this is a standalone stamp set, there is some designer series paper, a couple of different designer series papers that I'm going to be using. So let me show you what I'll be using. So on one of my cards, I will be using the beautiful Gallery 6x6 designer series paper. On one side, you have some pretty scenery type images. On the back, you have something that would be more like for a backdrop. So I am using one of the patterns from this paper on my last card. And then for both, so each card's going to have designer series paper on it. One of them is going to have the Gathering Together Specialty Designer Series paper. So one side you have like your fall images and you got some gold foil in there. So I'm going to be using a more neutral background. And then I'm also going to use the Peaceful, excuse me, the Peaceful Garden and Designer Series paper. I'm going to be using this on my first card. Okay, so let me bring in the pieces to my first card. Again, there's some prep work that I have already taken care of ahead of time. So let me bring that in. Okay, so for my card base, I have a piece of Secret Sea. Secret Sea is one of the newer in colors. Love this color, along with the cloud cover as well. So the card base, Secret Sea, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of cloud cover that measures 5.25 by 4. I have a piece of that Peaceful Garden Designer Series paper. This measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then out of a scrap piece of Secret Sea, I had stamped with Versamark and heat embossed with white embossing powder, the Holy Family. And then I die cut it using one of the larger branching out dies. This is still available. It doesn't look like it's not on the last chance list, so this is still available. And also what I'm going to be using in my cards as well, I used the basic white. I die cut that using one of the textured notes dies. These are still available. These are in the online exclusives. And then for one of my other cards, I'm going to also be using Stylish Shapes, which these are currently in our annual catalog. Okay, so let me go ahead, let me fold and burnish my card base. Now, for a card like this, I would want to put a piece of cardstock inside of it since this is really dark. When I did my Christmas cards, there were a lot of cards I made in videos. There were cards that I made where I was just, playing. This was way before I was doing videos. And some of the cards I did need to add a piece of like basic white inside of it so then I can write in it. So it's been a while since I actually sat down and took a little bit of time to actually send out Christmas cards. Again, year round, I end up making all these cards. However, then when it's time to go and mail them out, I don't quite have the stamps in order to do it. So I did get stamps this year, and so I feel really good that all these cards that I have made actually have gone out. Um, so I feel pretty good about that. The other thing that I also do every month, usually it's like the first of each month, I will do a monthly Christmas card inspiration. So in that video, I create two fairly simple duplicatable cards that would be pretty quick to mass produce. So even though Christmas will be over come January 1st, there will be a video. Now, as a matter of fact, January 1st just so happens to fall on a Thursday too. So there's going to be a double video for that day. So there's going to be one for the monthly Christmas card inspiration, and then there'll be another one for Throwback Thursday since it is a Thursday. So a lot of things to do and try to stay ahead of things, and we'll see how that works. Okay, so I've added my designer series paper to my cloud cover piece, and now I'm going to take this whole piece and I'm going to adhere it onto my Secret Sea card base. So there we go. All right, then I'm going to take my embossed and die cut image here, and I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. And I also want to put some in the middle because I don't want this to sag on me. Okay. And again, I used my Embossing Editions toolkit, and I stamped the image in Versamark ink, and then I heat embossed with my heat tool the white embossing powder. All right, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to center this like so. Okay, and then on this piece here, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. Since it's photopolymer, it it doesn't have that foam cushion on it like our red rubber stamps do. So to get a nice stamped image, I'm going to use my Pierce mat. And on this one, I'm going to use the greeting that says, "For unto us a child is born." And I do want to give you a little tip when you are heat embossing. Now, the embossing powder that I used is the white that's in the Wow Basics that we sell, excuse me, that we sell in the annual catalog. Now, when you go to heat this up, you do want to start in one spot and kind of move through. Once you see your your embossing powder kind of go shiny, then just move along into another spot. Don't spend a lot of time with your heat tool in one spot, because what happens when you add too much heat to the white, I noticed that what it does, it melts it so much that you actually see all these little like unembossed spots, in your lines. So you can also do it, the heat setting, you can also do it on low. But again, you just want to kind of keep it moving. You don't want to stay in one spot for a really long time. And one of the things I also do is I also heat emboss from underneath rather than going straight on top of the image itself. So just wanted to give that little pointer, because I have had it where I've had the heat in one area a little too long, and it just alters your stamped image when you overheated it. Okay, so let me get my block, and then I'm going to stamp this using my Secret C ink. So let me open that up and ink this up, and then I'm going to stamp this right in the middle like so. All right, so very, very simple card. This is something that you could mass produce if you wanted to do this as your Christmas cards. Just do all your Stampin' heat embossing at the same time, then do all your die cutting, cut all your pieces, and do all your stamping. And then the last part would be assembling and adding your embellishments. Okay, so I'm going to add some seal onto this, and then I'm going to add my greeting right up here like so. So it's coming off of my label a little bit. Just want to make sure that's straight. Okay. And then for my embellishments on this, I'm going to use the 2025 to 2027 in color flat pearls. And I'm going to bring in my cloud cover color here. Let me I take your pick tool. And with these you get, so you got Strawberry Slush, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Cloud Cover, and then Secret Sea. And they come in 3 different sizes. So I'm going to use one of each. Let me kind of get in this light here. And I'm going to add the larger one over there and then go with my medium one and my small one. And what's nice about these embellishments, there's not a lot of height to them. They are fairly flat, so they're really nice. And when you go to mail, you won't need extra postage, and you can probably get away with just putting the card in the envelope without having to put, like, say, another piece of cardstock or something on top of it to keep it from the embellishments for going through the envelopes when those envelopes go through those postal machines. So they're not heavy embellishments, so really great embellishments, especially for cards that you mail. Okay, so that is the first card. So very, very simple and clean looking card. And there you go. There's our first card. Okay, so for my second card, this is a case out of the, let's see, um, the set I said was in the mini catalog. So this is a case out of that catalog. Let's see, where am I putting stuff over here? Okay, so on this one, my card base is basic white thick, measuring 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of that Gathering Together Designer Series paper. So this side has a basic beige pattern on it. So this is cut the exact size as my card front. So this is 5.5 by 4.25. And then I have a piece of basic beige that measures 5 by 4.25. So just 3 pieces. So I'm going to fold and burnish this card base. Oops, almost dropped that. Okay, and then I'm going to take my Designer Series paper and bring in my liquid glue. And we're going to adhere this to my card base. Now, I always like using the liquid glue when I'm putting a full sheet onto my card base because it's going to give me that wiggle room to get it in place. Whereas if I use the seal, what happens when it doesn't stick right, then I'm having to pull it up and then it just wrinkles up the paper. So I'm going to line this up. Looks good. Okay. So there we go. There's our card base. Now on this piece, I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat. Now, when you go to stamp on this part, just be mindful the direction. So this piece, like I said, is 5 by 4.25. So the piece is going to go from side to side, flush to either side of it. We're going to stamp our image, which is going to be the Holy Family. And then we're also going to stamp these little stars here. And then also the greeting that says, all is calm, all is bright. And we're going to do this all in basic beige ink. So it's going to be tone on tone. So it's going to be a little more subtle. So let's bring in my Stampin' Scrubber. I'm just going to quickly clean off that stamp. And let's see. Take that off. So that way we can get our stamps a little bit easier. And I'll put that there. So we're going to need the Holy Family. And then we want these stars. And then also we want the all is calm and all is bright stamp. All right, so let's set that aside. And we're going to get our long block here. And for some reason, my awl seems like it goes up a little bit, so I want it to be straight. Okay. And then we have our stars. And then for this stamp, because it's pretty large, I'm going to bring in, this is our E block. And I think the next size up is the big background F block. So this is going to just fit on my block. I want to make sure that the edges are actually on the flat part and not on the edge. Okay, so let's move that card base out of the way. And again, be mindful you want your 4 1/4 inch size on either side here, and then you don't want it this way is what I'm trying to get at. You don't want it that way. You want it this way. All right, so basic beige ink. Gonna ink this up. Now basic beige kind of has like this greenish tone to it. And when I did my sample card, I used the back of a spoon to press the ink in this because it was very inky. But when I did that, then when I stamped, it was very, very faint. So I want it to be a little bit darker, so then that way you can actually see the image. And then I'm going to stamp this kind of like in the middle, like so. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually tear the top and the bottom of my cardstock. So make sure I'm pressing that down, getting all of the image on there. Okay, there you go. And then we want the stars. And then that is going to go right over here. So it's pretty close to her head, because I want to have it where it's below the staff, because we're going to tear the cardstock on the top and the bottom. Okay, and then I want the greeting piece. And then I'm going to stamp this. I'm going to get pretty close to the bottom of her robe here. Like so. Okay, so it's pretty faint, but at least you could see this a little better. And it's going to dry a little bit lighter than what it is right now. Okay, so let me quickly clean these stamps. Because I got stamps laying around that still have ink on it, then I'm taking a chance that it could end up getting on my cardstock, and don't want that to happen. All right, so that is all the stamping that we're doing for this one. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to tear both the top and the bottom. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to look to see where the top of that staff is. And then I am going to tear. Now I'm not looking for this to be straight. And I'm going to tear towards me because I want to show the tooth of that cardstock. And I'm just going to tear. All the way across. And then I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom. Okay. Then what I want to do is, so the top and bottom edges, I want to kind of just rub my fingers over the top just to kind of rough it up a little bit, add a little more texture to it. Do the same thing on the bottom. All right, and then I want to bring in my dimensionals. And we're going to add some to the back of this. And again, I don't want it to sag on me, so I'm going to add a little bit more to it. Remove these backings. So this is technically, other than my throwback, not throwback, but my monthly Christmas card inspiration, this is kind of technically the last Christmas set that I'll be using for the year. So, okay, so now I'm going to take this, I want to kind of center this from the top and bottom, and it's going to line up perfectly on both the left and right hand side. And I'm going to press that down. So pretty clean and simple looking card. Now I'm going to add a little bit of bling to this. So I'm going to bring in my loose gold sequins. There's different sizes of these. It doesn't really say on the back what sizes they are, but oh yeah, they do have the size 4, 5, and 6 millimeters. Whoa, and I'm already making a mess with them. Hold on, let me move this down so I can, and you know what? We got all the sizes we need right there. So I'm going to bring in my glue. I'm going to add a drop right here in the middle of this star. And then I'm going to add 2 more right there. Okay, I got my take your pick tool. I got the putty end. And then I have the little pokey end here that's going to help me with taking it off. So I'm going to add one of these really large ones over here. And then let's see. And we want one of the smaller ones right down here. And then there's a medium size. And that's going to go right here on the star. Now, in the sample that was in the the catalog, they had used the neutral adhesive backed sequins. Those are retired, and actually they're discontinued now because you can't get them. They're all sold out. So yeah, so I just used the gold. The gold works very well with the basic beige. Let me close this really quick. Okay, so there is our second card. So monochromatic, using that basic beige, and yeah, just stamp your images. And this too is a nice quick and easy card to make if you mass producing Christmas cards. All right, so now we got one more. And this one, we're going to do some coloring on this one. We're also going to do a bit of fussy cutting. Now, It's a very simple laid out card. Not many pieces to it. But again, there's going to be coloring, and there's also going to be um, some fussy cutting as well. Okay. So for this one, my card base is Secret C again. It just seemed like Secret C just went very well with this piece here. So card base 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. And I will go ahead and fold and burnish this. Okay, and I'll set that aside. Then I used my largest stylish shape circle, and I die cut a piece of this is the Beautiful Gallery Designer Series paper, so it's the back side of this pattern here. Now, it's a variegated sheet, and so in order to die cut this, let me show you. Let me show you a sheet of this paper really quick. Whoops, that's the one I cut. Let me grab another one. So here is the one side, and then here's the other. So what I wanted, because to me this looked like, you know, your night sky, and then it's a little bit lighter on the bottom. But because of the size of the die, I couldn't die cut two next to each other. So what I did, this was actually die cut from down in this area. And then what I did is I did this ahead of time. I had used one of my blending brushes, and that's not it. And the basic gray ink pad, so I just added some on my brush, and then I brushed some on kind of like on this top part, so that way it mimics a night sky. All right, so let me put that aside. So I did that ahead of time. Put that over there. Then again, I die cut one of those textured notes labels, the same one I did on the first card. So again, basic white, we're going to stamp our greeting on that. And then I had stamped the manger and a lamb. And then I only needed the part that of Mary holding baby Jesus, because I just want baby Jesus in this image. And we're going to actually layer him on top of this manger here. And then, like I said, so I only needed that one part. So I stamped that. I'm going to color it and fussy cut it. All right, so I am going to start with doing my greeting first, and we'll get that done and out of the way. So bring that in. I'm going to stamp that in basic gray ink. Oh, and I didn't mention when I stamped these images, I stamped them in early espresso ink. All right, so we need a block and we need the stamp. Oh, holy night. And we're going to be using those stars again as well. Put that down. Grab my block. And we'll stamp that right in the middle. Okay, we'll set that aside. And we're actually going to bring in our circle die here. And I'm going to bring in these stars. And I'm going to ink that up in the basic gray ink. And then I'm going to stamp this right over here, kind of like the upper left-hand side of my die cut, like so. All right, we'll close this up. We're done with the stamping part. Okay, and then I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to let this dry. Once I kind of assemble things, I'm going to add some Wink of Stella to that. So let me move that. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper. I am going to be using my Stampin' Blends. I want to kind of preserve my grid paper. I actually I had a new piece all out, and I did my paper pumpkin kit. I did like one of each of the projects, and then the stamp slipped, and then it ended up stamping the image right there on the paper. So I wanted a nice clean sheet, so I'm going to put this down because the blends could bleed through. All right, so to color this in, I am going to bring in, I have my light and dark crumb cake. And then I have the deep combo, which in the beginning when these came out, they were numbered. So the deep number 100 and 200, both of these come together as a combo pack. And then I have the medium light number 700, the light pecan pie, and the light darling duckling. Okay, so I am going to start off. I'm going to do this cloth that that baby Jesus is wrapped in, and I'm going to color this all in my light crumb cake. Okay. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. I'm going to do his face in medium light, number 700. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in my dark crumb cake. And all these lines that are here, I'm just going to trace over them with my dark. And then along the bottom, like so. Okay. All right, so I'm done coloring him in. I'm going to let this dry a little bit. I am going to add a face. Now, that's the one thing about this stamp set, that all the characters, so the Holy Family, the lamb, the older lamb, or is that a donkey? Oh no, that could be a donkey. There's no face on them. I mean, you got a face, but there's like no eyes on them. So I'm actually going to add a face onto both baby Jesus and also my little lamb. All right, so on the lamb, I'm going to take my light crumb cake, and for the most part, he's going to be white, but I'm going to use my crumb cake to do shadows. And let's see, do the parts of the ears underneath. Okay, and then I'm going to use the dark crumb cake to do this fur on top of its head and on its tail. Okay, so we're done with crumb cake. And then for this manger, I am going to use the deep number 200, and I'm going to color the whole wooden part with this, and then I'll come in with the deep number 100, and and then I'll add those shadows. Okay. And then let me get the dark. And we will get this back leg, this front edge, and then I'm going to come underneath where this hay is. And just create that shadow underneath. Okay. And then I'm going to take my light darling duckling, and I'm going to color in all of this hay. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with my light pecan pie, and I'm going to add my shadow on this. Okay, so we have that shadow there on our hay. And of course, then Jesus is going to be covering that part up. So, all right, so now what I want to do is I want to add a face on here. So, we do have the stamp, well, right now, well, we don't have it right now, but we had the individual basic black Stampin' Right markers. One end had a brush tip, the other end had a bigger bullet tip than the older ones that we had. But there's also now an actual journaling pen that they've come out with. I do not have that. What I do have, I bought these quite a few years ago. I did add a link to these in the description of the Non-Stampin' Up supplies. These are the Sakura of America Pigma micron fine liner markers. These are all in black, and there are 6 different tip sizes that are in here. So you have your 005, which is a 0.20 millimeter, and 01, which is 0.25 millimeter, 02, which is 0.30 millimeter, and then it goes up to 3, 5, and 8. So I am using the 5. This is the 0.45 millimeter, and I am just going to add a face. I am not doing anything, you know, like crazy or anything. So just going to add a little line for the eyes and for the mouth. And then I'm going to do same thing with the lamb. Just going to add just 2 little closed eyes right there. And so I had bought these in Hobby Lobby a few years ago. I'm sure that they still sell them, so you may find these in any of your larger, crafting box stores. But I did add a link to these in the description. Amazon has these as well. They also have bigger packs that have different size tips as well. They make them in colors, and then they also have it in just black. So we got the little faces on there. Now let me bring in my scissors, and we're going to now cut these all out. So for these, I'm not going to leave like a white border on these, because again, Mary is holding Jesus, so we're not going to include her hand on here because we're going to lay him in a manger. I'm just going to cut right on the outside of that stamped line. Now, this wouldn't be a card that I would exactly mass produce, because unless you're someone that really, really likes to fussy cut, then okay, then you can do that, but I know I won't be doing it. All right, now let's go ahead and do our lamb. Now the lamb I'm not so worried about not cutting right on the line. If I leave a little bit of a white border, that's okay. This image is a bit small. And they say the trick to this is that you're moving the cardstock, you're not moving the scissors. Almost there. So I don't know what the weather is by you, but it's really been crazy here in Memphis. Well, actually, I think most of the country is dealing with this. So, like last week, and I think even prior to that, we had our really, really cold temps. I mean, we were like in the 20s. And now, we've kind of like had this warm up. So, Christmas Eve, it was in the 70s. And then even Christmas Day is going to be in the 70s as well. I think it's like breaking the record that was set, I guess, a couple of years ago. But that's insane. You would expect it to be, cooler, but nope. Instead of having the heat on, I've either had the windows open a little bit, but then it gets warm. And so I've actually had to turn the AC on. So kind of crazy. All right, so now let's do this manger. You kind of got like some straight lines here. that little bit. Now, one of the things that you can also do after you cut this out, now you're going to have like the white edges on there. So one of the things you can do, now I wouldn't use um, the the Stampin' Blend marker, but if you have the Stampin' Bright markers, you can use the brush tip of the early espresso to go around the edges, and then you won't see like that white edge. So I'll do that with these after I get this cut out. Didn't cut far enough. Okay, let me move those off so I can just tip that into my trash bin. So this very back part here, I'm just gonna kind of cut across, and then as I get towards the end, then I'm going to go around that hay. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so there we go. There is that. And then let me get rid of these little bits and pieces here. All right, so we're done with the cutting. All right, and I'll move that out of the way. All right, so now what I was saying about the marker, so I'm going to take the brush tip. Now, the reason why I don't recommend using the Stampin' Blend is because as inky as it is, it'll probably seep into what you had already colored. So you just want to go with the side of the brush tip and just go around those outer edges, and that will, oops, and what that'll do is it'll eliminate like those white edges when you go to put it down. And then even this part where we had a little bit of the white showing, I just go over that. Okay, I think we got it. All right. And then we got our little lamb here. Okay, so there we go. So you kind of have that darker outline when you go around your cut edges on your die cut. All right, so now let's assemble our card. Burnish this again. And then I'm going to take my circle here, add some adhesive to the back of this, and I want to line this up kind of like in the center here, having that dark part facing up, and my stamped image, making sure that my star is also straight as well. So I'll press that down. Then I'm going to take my little baby Jesus, and we're going to pop him up onto this manger. So I'm going to bring in my mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and where's my larger ones? We're going to use both of them. All right, so on the back of Jesus, we're going to take 2 small ones. We'll add that. Okay, we'll remove the paper backings. And then we're going to lay him in a manger like so. So there we go. Laying in a manger. And then on the back of this, we're going to add 2 larger ones. Okay. And then we're going to place him, make sure my card's straight, and we're going to place him right about here. And then for my little lamb, I'm going to bring in my glue. We're not going to pop him up. We're just going to add a little bit to the back of him. And then we're going to add him right over here, like so. Press that down a little bit. All right. Then I'm going to bring in my Winka Stella, and I'm going to color in the star. And then all these other ones, just going to fill them in. I'll color these other ones in. Like so. All right. Then we are going to bring in the Secret Sea. This is the faux linen ribbon. This comes in all of the, is it just the new? Yeah, it's just the new in colors. So you can see, you can kind of see that it's got this kind of like this weave in it. Oops, I can get it to focus. But really neat ribbon. I'm going to add some seal to the back of my greeting. And then I'm going to do kind of like a zigzag. And I don't need too much showing. So we'll go up and then we'll go down as well. Okay, and then I'm going to get my ribbon cutting scissors and we'll cut this at an angle like so. And let me move that out of the way. And then I'm going to add some of my dimensionals to the back of this greeting piece. Like so. It's going to kind of hold that ribbon down as well. Okay, and now let's add this right over here like so. Okay, there we go. Just get this out of the way, get these out of the way. And there is our third card. So I really like the dark background, your dark sky, and then you got that pop of color with Jesus and the manger and that little lamb. So really like the simplicity of this, and I really like that bit of a wow factor in it as well. All right, so let me bring in the other two cards that we had made. So there was this one where I did the heat embossing with the white embossing powder. No coloring needed to be done. Very monochromatic using the Secret Sea and the cloud cover colors. And I love how this one came out. And then our second one, again, we did another monochromatic. Everything pretty much is basic beige. So basic beige cardstock, stamped the images in the same color ink, and then did a little bit of distressing by tearing the top and the bottom piece of that cardstock, and then just added a little bit of bling with those gold loose sequins. And then here's our third one again, where we got that pop of the coloring that we did of these images. All right, so there are the projects for my Throwback Thursday using the A Child is Born standalone stamp set. Again, the stamp set is on the last chance list. So that means that it is retiring. And so once it sells out, and then it's gone, it's discontinued, and they won't be making more of these. So again, it is discounted as well. The regular price of this was 21, and now it's marked down to $18.90. And this price is here in the U.S. All the designer series paper that I used is still available. None of it is on the last chance list. In the description, I got a couple of things that are in there. Stampin' Up! Started up product of the month. This started this month in December. So what's happening is that if you've been around Stampin' Up for a while, we usually had celebration, usually at the beginning of the year, and then at one point they did it twice a year. And celebration was for every 50 or $100 that you spent. Now, again, this is US pricing. You got to choose you got to choose free product out of like a mini brochure. Well, they have stopped doing celebration. They're not going to do it anymore. Instead, they are now doing this product of the month. And the way it works is that when you spend $75, now this is after you have applied any discounts, so any Stampin' Rewards, any coupon codes, and also before taxes added, you get to order the product of the month for $5. Now, with the product of the month, it is not automatically added for you. When you are in your shopping cart, you will see the box up at the top that'll let you know how far you are from being able to order that. You do need to, when it says that you have reached that threshold, you do have to click on the button where it'll take you where that product is. You do need to add it to your cart. It's not automatically going to be added. And my understanding is that if you had forgotten to add it, then Stampin' Up! Won't be able to add it. The only way you could end up getting it again then is by placing another $75 order. Now, it is limited to one product per person. So if you have already placed an order in December and you had gotten that designer series paper, you won't be able to get it again. Now, come January, there will be another product. Don't have any heads up as to what it's going to be. This one for December is true. Hold on. It's True Blues Whole. Yeah, what is it? Let me see here. True. It is called True Blue Florals 12 by 12 designer series paper. So the colors in it are Night of Navy and Balmy Blue. So it's variations of those two colors. It's still available. So when it comes to these products, it's while supplies last. This designer series paper, it's still available. Come early January, not necessarily the first of the month, there will be a new product. So if you had not gotten, say, the designer series paper in January, if you place a $75 order, you can actually add the designer series paper if it's still in stock and you hadn't already ordered it at that point. So it's never going to be the first of the month. It's going to be like early in the month, so they don't have like an actual set day in which it'll be available. Also in the description, there's a link that'll take you to the online store where the last chance products are. So that's everything that has been either marked down or things that are going to be retiring out of it could be a past annual catalog. It can be an online exclusive. It can be stuff that's in our current holiday mini catalog. Some things are regular price. Some things are discounted. And then, of course, there are some things too that if you don't see last chance tied to it, then it's still available. It's not retiring, at least not yet, it isn't. So there's a link that'll take you to where all the last chance products are. If you would like to receive any one of our catalogs, so right now there is the annual catalog. We have our September through December holiday mini catalog. And then starting in January, we have the January to April mini catalog. So if you would like any of those catalogs, just simply send me an email with your full name and your mailing address, and I'll be more than happy to mail one out to you. Now, I do want to ask that first you have to be in the US, because if you're in another country, the only way you can order any product is through a demonstrator in the market in which you live. And if you are not already ordering or working with another demonstrator, um, if you're ordering from them, then please request the catalog from them. Let's see. There's a link if you would like to shop with me. All orders, I want you to know that whether big, small, whatever, I truly appreciate it. It does help me in in meeting my quarterly minimums, and I truly, truly appreciate it. I also have a link if you would like to sign up for my monthly newsletter. Typically, my newsletter, I send it out. It's usually like the first Tuesday of each month. In the newsletter, there is a video schedule. So everything, all the product that I'm going to be using for my Throwback Thursdays, my Friday Night Lives, let's see what else. My monthly Christmas card inspiration and even the paper pumpkin. I have it all listed as to like what stamp sets or bundles or suites that I'm going to be using for those videos. The only time that I send any more newsletters out in a given month is if Stampin' Up! Has some special promotion or sale that's going on, that I will modify it so then that way you're in the loop as to what's going on. But typically, if they're not doing anything, then it's just the one time a month. I do not bombard you with emails every single day. Um, and my email too is included in the description below as well. And again, a link for all the products that I have used in these projects are listed below as well, along with non-Stampin' Up! Supplies that I use and those Micron fine liner pens. I do have a link for those from Amazon, but again, I know that when I purchased these a few years ago, I did get them in Hobby Lobby, so you may still find them in there. They'll be like in the art section, and the same with Michael's as well. So, with that, that's all I have for you in this episode of Throwback Thursday. So, going forward now in January, there may be something else that I'm using that is either from, hold on, is it from, let me check. Um, Actually, I will be using the Lights of Aurora suite on, ooh, let me think here, on I think the Thursday into January. So other than that, I'll go back to using retired product on my Throwback Thursdays. What else? So yeah, so on Friday, the 26th, I will be going live. I will be going live an hour earlier, so it'll be 6 p.m. Central Standard Time rather than 7 p.m. We have a great bunch of ladies that pop on. There's nice conversation, no drama or anything like that. One of the things I also do at the end of my live, I do a drawing where you can choose one of the cards that I had made in that video, and I'll mail that out to you. And let's see. And to close out, again, I'm posting this early in the morning on Thursday, December 25th. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope that you are having a wonderful and blessed day. Um, with family, with friends, and if you're not, that you're just enjoying just the peacefulness and the stillness of the day. So until then, everybody, I will see you right here on Friday the 26th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And have a blessed day, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Bye bye.